We're joined once again by the president of the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities, Mr. Joe Fiordaliso. Joe, good to see you.
Nice to see you, Steve. Thank you.
So, Joe, we're taping this at the end of 2020, be seen in 2021. Some folks might think clean energy, and we're very involved in a public awareness initiative around clean energy. Oh, that takes a break during COVID. Not the case, right?
Not the case at all. As a matter of fact, the wheels of the BPU continue to turn, and offshore wind, Steve, has become really the centerpiece of our clean energy program. Of course, along with solar.
I'm sorry for interrupting, Joe. By the way, let's also make clear the Board of Public Utility regulates the utilities, the cable. What do you regulate, Joe? It's okay. An awful lot.
We regulate all investor-owned utilities: water, telecommunications, cable, all the electric companies, Public Service, JCP&L, Atlantic City Electric, Rockland, and the gas companies. So we have a full plate, and that's really was our primary obligation for many years until 1999, when the legislature designated us as the Clean Energy Office for the state of New Jersey.
Yeah, so let's talk about this offshore wind development. Without getting into the weeds of this process, what is it and why does it matter so much, particularly for the people of our state and region?
Well, it matters so much because it brings us one step closer, Steve, to our goal of 2050. And that goal is 100% renewable energy by that year, and an 80% reduction in carbon. So by 2035, we want to have 7,500 megawatts of power, which would serve millions of homes in New Jersey, generated by wind, offshore, 15 miles off the coast, and which is not an eyesore, and something that is one step closer to bringing us to that reality.
Why is that so important, Mr. President?
Well, it's so important, Steve, because climate change is real. And there are many smarter scientists than I who are trying to figure out how to keep the Earth at a temperature that will help to mitigate climate change. And that's what we're trying to do here in New Jersey by reducing our carbon output. And we have to keep in mind that 40% of our carbon output comes from transportation. So we have to electrify. And the way to do that is to renewable energy and slowly get our reliance off of fossil fuel.
I only call Joe Joe's because we've known each other a long time, but President Fiordaliso, I want to ask you this. There's a new president. As this program is going to be seen into 2021, Joe Biden will be the president. How much difference does it make, Joe, who the president is and what federal policy is as it relates to quote unquote clean energy versus what the Board of Public Utilities, Governor Murphy, does on their own? Like, can New Jersey separate itself from everyone else?
No. And Governor Murphy has done a remarkable job. He has laid out a vision here that New Jersey can follow and become an example for other states in the United States. And does it mean a difference when we have a Joe Biden as president? I can't overstate that enough.
What could they do? By the way, what federal agencies, Joe, are actually involved in the kind of energy policy we're talking about? Is it the EPA or the Department of Energy?
The EPA gets involved, but the Department of Energy is the primary department that we can cooperate with. And it all depends on what emphasis the President of the United States puts on clean energy. And President-elect Biden is going to put that emphasis on clean energy. And I am so thankful for all of us, particularly for your children and my grandchildren, Steve, that we're going to have a president who puts such an emphasis on clean energy, because we have to mitigate the effects of climate change. We have a moral obligation to future generations to do that.
Joe, do you think And by the way, I'm going to ask our folks to put up our slogan. We have an initiative called Democracy at a Crossroads. And someone might ask, well, what the heck does energy policy have to do with our representative democracy? And I'll try to make it clear. There's a lot of folks who believe they have the right to have this thing called alternative facts. Okay? They have a different reality, and okay, you have a different opinion, but the facts around climate change, can you have this thing called alternative facts? You listen to a certain network, they're telling you climate change is not real, certain elected officials, not that big a deal. Or are the facts about climate change? Question here, I promise. And that is part of a representative democracy, dealing with reality.
Indeed, it does. And I mean, data doesn't lie. The facts don't lie. They tell you the truth. And if we're smart enough to jump on that truth and do something about it, because I believe we can do anything we want as human beings. And if we're smart enough to jump on this and say, we need a national effort, not just New Jersey, but a national effort. And under President-elect Biden, we're going to get that national effort, I believe. And because we can do everything we want to do here in New Jersey. But as we know, the wind comes from west to east. And if some of our state friends west of us are burning coal, it affects our air. So we need a national approach.
By the way, Joe Fiordaliso mentions, he refers to Vice President Biden as president-elect. This will be seen while he's president-elect and after while he's president. Before I let you go, Joe, how about this? Real quick, can I get a minute or less on how COVID has impacted the effort here? Because you said the effort doesn't stop, but COVID, first of all, the meetings are remote. It's got an impact, right?
Well, it does to some extent, Steve. But I'm very proud of our staff. They have really not skipped a beat here. You're talking about outstanding public servants who see and have bought into the vision because it's right. The data shows it. The facts show it. The scientists show it. And that's what we have to rely on. And if we don't rely on that, then we're going haphazardly into different directions, and we can't do that. It's too important.
That is Joe Fiordaliso. By the way, we put up the website for the Board of Public Utilities to find out more about what they are doing in a whole range of areas. We're committed to public education and awareness around these energy-related issues. Joe Fiordaliso is the president of the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities. Mr. President, I want to thank you so much for joining us. All the best, Joe.
And all the best to you, and thanks so much for having me.
You got it. I'm Steve Adubato. We'll be right back.
Think Tank with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, PSC&G, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, New Jersey Sharing Network, Rutgers University, Newark, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, the Turrell Fund, supporting Reimagine Childcare, MD Advantage Insurance Company, and by Johnson & Johnson. Promotional support provided by AM 970 The Answer and by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association.
Choosing a new family doctor can be confusing. Check with your health insurer to see which physicians near you participate with your plan. Find out which hospitals the doctor uses and who covers when the doctor is away. And remember to schedule an appointment with your new doctor in advance to fill out any paperwork without the added stress of being sick.